Hey, welcome back to another exciting episode of Yomo. This is the Year of Magical Learning podcast, and we are on Yomo 351. And like familiar authors, Malcolm
Familiar.
Gladwell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Malcolm Gladwell, familiar author. I hadn't read a Malcolm Gladwell. We haven't done a Malcolm Gladwell book in. I think the last one
We
we did
did,
was like
we did a few
David and
before.
Goliath. Yeah, we did.
The,
Oh, what the dog saw.
something about the desirable disadvantage.
That was David and Goliath.
Oh, what?
And then we did what the dog saw early on as well. So I think those are the only two that we've done up to this point. However, that said, in my life now, I've read every single Malcolm Gladwell book. This book kicked off a Malcolm Gladwell binge for me. I was like, oh my God, like this guy's just like, it's like he tailor writes these books for me. I get sucked in like immediately. He's just such a good storyteller. He sets the stage with he asks a question and then he like it's like a detective, and you're just gonna
Mhm.
you're gonna go on a journey with him, and his voice is so soothing. Just
Midnight DJ voice.
he's got the midnight DJ. He is just delicious. Like I mean, that guy is so good at what he does. It's almost disgusting. I mean, there's a reason why. Well, he's Malcolm Gladwell. I don't even know most of his content. I've come to realize that most of his content isn't really original.
Right, most of his content is research.
The Malcolm Gladwell is the origin of that, but not really the origin of that. He's
Mhm.
just so popular that he does such a good job of bringing that.
It's like a wordsmith in a story format, taking something that is like physics and become the Richard Feynman and explain it to somebody and make it fun. But Malcolm Gladwell, he does his research and then he takes it and he brings it out in a way that makes it more,
It's
clear,
a story. It's a
right?
detective story. It reminds me of where they talked about the most popular professors, what they do. Actually, I think it may have been an Adam Grant book. The most popular professors, what they do that's so different than every other professor is they start off their lecture, they keeps people engaged with a question, and then they go on like a hunt, like a exploratory hunt, right?
Mhm.
And people want to know the answer. It's like watching a movie. It's like when you think of the best movies you ever saw, it was something happened and then you dissect it the rest of the whole, and then they slowly give you little bits and pieces and crumbles along the way. You take the bait down the path, right? And you're like, oh my God, what's next? What's next? What's next? It hangs you on the edge of your seat versus like setting the whole stage and telling people what's going to happen. Like, that's cool. Like that's another approach, but that's not necessarily great. Or just dumping all kinds of data on people. Like, I mean,
Well,
snore
that's the
fest,
worst.
right?
That's the worst. The
Right.
worst way to learn is dumping data information
We don't learn in
into it.
numbers.
It's about almost like a quest to find some sort of an answer to a question that was posed, or even for us, we post it ourselves. If I'm suspense, I mean, I want to know what happened. That's why suspense thrillers are really like you sit on the edge of your seat most of the time. You don't want to miss the clue they give you so they can find the answer that, sometimes the answer is not even something interesting. It's just that it intrigues you and it exploits the human mind in a way.
It does. It does. It really does. I mean, even the word question, like, starts with quest, right? I mean, there's a reason why we called it the core values quest, right? Because it wasn't like, hey, here's all the answers. We like not knowing, but on a path to knowing, like
Mhm.
there's that fine line between like,
We
oh,
want to
well,
know, but we don't want to know, if that
yes,
makes sense,
yeah,
right? So the
yes,
thing is, we don't want to know the answers.
exactly. Because then the game's over.
Right, because a lot of times the essence and the desire to continue your life is about what is that I can uncover. It's not about what, I mean, it's like, hey, I can sit here and say, okay, I can go back to take a time machine and go back and live the life exactly as I live now. And I cannot change any point of my life. I cannot change
Right.
anything from it. Would you want to go back?
You already know what's
Exactly.
ahead.
It's because you want to change something.
Or I guess you just really loved a particular segment of your life that you wanted to
But
re-enjoy.
even then, you still don't want it. It's a change, and you have some familiarity. The change is what keeps you going. If you
Yeah.
don't, if you know your life up front completely, then it is not as fun. The essence of your life isn't as enjoyable. That is just a human psychology. We are somehow been embedded that kind of a process.
It's funny we're saying this because this is kind of going back to last episode about not knowing and knowing and about this book Quit with Annie Duke. We have to know. But like to your point, once we know the answer, this is the anti-library. This is exactly what the anti-library is. It's who gives a shit about all the books you've already read? Like, it's all the books you haven't read that keep you wanting to keep learning, right? Like, keep you wanting to keep exploring.
To have the book if you already know what's in the book.
The only time that I ever want to go back to a book is when I think that there's more to be uncovered in that book, right? Like, I probably won't go back and reread Talking to Strangers, but I will
Or the
probably go back
compound
and
effect. Think
or the
about it.
compound effect.
Because
Yeah,
the
I
thing
mean, I
is,
don't need
there's
to know
only
that. Yeah,
one concept there. The concept is
I'm
compound
good.
effect.
Right.
You go back and you read the Thinking Fast and Slow because there's so many things
There's
we
so much
missed.
books that have just massive, like Joseph Campbell's The Hero with a Thousand Faces. I could probably go back and reread that again, even though it was boring as hell. I know I missed a lot because it was so boring. Talking about the hero's journey, that's what Malcolm Gladwell does. He does a hero's journey. He takes you through the whole thing. And anyway,
That's why the movies are interesting because you think about it, the movies is actually the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
Every movie that is have any kind of interesting level to it, it has a hero's journey. Something has a problem. Come get a quest, conquer his problem, bring it back to the world.
Yeah, right. I've found more and more personal sentiment toward the artist's journey. The book, the Stephen Pressfield book, that was like, what comes after the hero's journey? That's great. You can only have so many hero's journeys in your life, but like once you get the elixir and you share the elixir, like what comes after that, right? And like the whole idea of the artist's journey that comes after that is really boring, right? There is no big ahas every single day. It's what you want to do and what brings you happiness, so you just do it every single day. Like Amelia and I, like doing our living for two stuff every single day. To anybody else would probably say that's pretty boring, Chris. Like, and I'm gonna say no, it's not boring. It's the farthest thing from boring to me. Like, it's something that gives me fulfillment every single day, versus that idea of this hero's journey that is like this big epic adventure that we're on. Everyday life isn't like that, right? Like, I mean, it maybe have some components that when you look at it on the totality, but like on an everyday kind of thing, like once the journey's over, it's the artist's journey, right? Once the hero's journey is over, then it's the artist's journey.
Right. I think the hero's journey is something that everyone can relate. Because that's everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone has that need to, and that's why we are drawn to the stories and to the movies, because all the movies I've noticed always follow the hero's journey. Otherwise, it won't be interesting.
Right.
And everybody watches it. But once it's over, there's a lot of people who cannot relate because that's not their journey anymore. That's not their life anymore. Just like, the hero's journey is the need that everyone have, but the artist's journey is only some people have that. You just watch people doing and dancing all day. The hero's journey, it applies to everybody. So that everybody is drawn to the hero's journey, but the artist's journey is not going to draw on everybody. It's only drawn to that one specific one.
Yes, that's exactly right. It's a tailor-made story for one beaver that needs to dam every single day, or one, whatever you are and what your purpose is. And nobody's going to give a shit about my purpose, and they shouldn't, like, in all seriousness.
Because if they give about your purpose, then he's not following his purpose.
Right, exactly. So like that's I think the fascinating, I guess, thing that Malcolm Gladwell doesn't really do that at all. Like, I mean, it's true. Anyway, all right. So on to the reflection, though. Oh no, I haven't used this computer before. You want to share your screen? I haven't. Just share your screen. Optimize for video clip preferences. There we go. This is a new computer, so I hadn't shared my screen ever on Zoom on this. So the reflection title for this one is "Don't be a stranger to yourself." Right. So we were just talking about. I don't need to talk about the beginning where Malcolm Gladwell was a genius, but I mean, he really is. I mean, he's so good.
Well, he's doing his.
You know how long it takes me to read a Malcolm Gladwell book?
That too.
Yeah.
Like watching a movie, right? A lot of time people watch a good series, they watch it in one weekend. It's like,
oh yeah, if it's great,
because they are really in suspense and they will continue to want it. Because if the Malcolm Gladwell does a hero's journey, every single chapter is going to allude to something that it needs it for the next chapter. So
and you're like, oh my God,
you can't stop. So there's no stopping point in a Malcolm Gladwell's book. Right.
And I find time for Malcolm Gladwell books. And not only that, he makes them the perfect length too, where they are like, it's not like 500 pages or something like that, and it's to a T, man, of like, I can capture your attention for this amount of time before I know that you're going to go, and start to waver from me or whatever. He keeps you right on that line of an upward trajectory of engagement the entire time. And then finally it's over and you're like, oh man, It's over, but you feel really fulfilled and happy. It's pretty remarkable. So anyway, enough of that. My reflection title of this one is Don't Be a Stranger to Yourself. If you don't know what this book's about, it's about a controversial excursion through history, psychology, and scandals taken from the news, where he looks at the deceptions of people like Bernie Madoff, Amanda Knox, the girl that got arrested in Italy for the murder of her boyfriend, the suicide of Sylvia Plath, Jerry Sandusky, the Penn State coach that molested a lot of kids, and then the death of Sandra Bland, a black woman in a car accident with police where it shouldn't have happened. The central thesis of this book is like, we don't really know the people. Like, it's easy to deceive us when we meet someone. How do you know when you're talking to a stranger if they're who you think they are? How does this all work? How does the psychology of all this stuff work? And it's just a really interesting book of opening your eyes to how do we navigate this world. And the one thought that I had as soon as this book was over is like, you can't trust anybody. The only thing that matters is the actions that you perform on any single given day. And that actually shows what you care about in this world and who you really are, right? And I'm not saying that words don't matter. Words do matter, but actions matter more, and words should only back up actions, in my opinion. A famous quote that we talked about before in the past, I'm going to probably butcher this a little bit. It was preach the gospel at all times, and when necessary, use words, right? You preach the gospel through your actions. You preach the gospel when you do what you do, whatever your gospel is, I guess, is the point. Whatever your values are, whatever matters to you, it should be readily apparent to anybody that's around you for any given course of the day, what matters to you most. And that's just based off of how you live your life, right? So like, if you ever heard the saying before of like, show me your calendar and show me your bank account and I'll show you what matters to you, kind of thing.
I think you said that before.
Yeah. You can say whatever you want to say in this world. You could say grit, fail fast, love of the process.
I say Ohana all the time.
Ohana.
I fire your ass the next moment. Hey, we didn't make increased projections.
Right.
You only make 100% improvement. I need 120%.
Sorry.
Get out of here.
That's what matters.
I love you to death. Man, you don't love me to death.
It's bullshit, right? So there was this teacher, I'm not going to say his name. I went to a private Catholic high school growing up, right? Resources and capabilities.
What you think is good for others doesn't mean it's really good for others. Your parents think it's good for you, but it wasn't good for you. The more they try to give you a better life, the worse life you've got.
That's the philosophy of Catholic schools.
The devil doesn't know he's a devil.
That's true.
The worst person that gives you the short end of the bargain is actually the closest people to you.
Makes sense.
The person that makes your life the most misery is the person that's most closest to you.
Oh, yeah.
The devil doesn't know he's a devil.
Yeah, 100%. I 100% agree with that. The only reason I'm bringing this story up is it reminds me of there's this teacher that used to teach religion at my high school. Religion class was required. I went to a Catholic school. So we had religion class every single day of my life from kindergarten through 12th grade. And I think he was our 12th grade religion teacher. And he was crippled. I mean, he could walk, but he had like some serious mobility issues, and he's always been that way. I think he was born that way. This guy was the model of Christianity and faith, and he's endured so many things, and the stuff that he stood for, everybody really valued and appreciated, and yada, 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 right? And he was revered throughout the school. He's also one of the main hosts of this thing we do every year called the Senior Retreat, which is a big deal and a huge rite of passage for everybody in my high school. So each some quarter, we have 4 quarters in high school, right? Each quarter, a quarter of the senior class goes to this retreat that's called the Christian Awakening Retreat. It's like a 4-day activity. The best way to describe it is you all walk in. So my senior class was like 250 people. So let's just say 60 people-ish go to each one of these quarterly sessions, right? So the first 60 people go in the first quarter of the year. And then all of a sudden, these motherfuckers come back and they're like, all hugging each other all day long in the hallways, and everybody's just like crying, and people are walking around going, live the fourth, man, live the fourth, and you're like, what the fuck just happened? And then they have this unwritten code amongst all the people that go that are like, we're not allowed to share with anybody that hasn't gone yet, what happens at the Christian Awakening Retreat, right?
BS to me.
Well, it is and it isn't, because here's why. Because you and I have talked about this before. When you know something that other people don't know, it's kind of worthless to even talk to them about it. It's not necessarily about building mystery. It's more about like, you just want to understand anyway. So what's the point? I can't explain to you all the events that went into me coming back, and the biggest dork in the class and the biggest jock popular guy is hugging in the hallway crying with each other, and you're like, how the fuck did this happen? Like, we spent 4 years together in the same class, and you're a nerd and you're not, and all of a sudden everybody's like singing Kumbaya, holding hands and crying with each other, and you're like, what the fuck happened? It just doesn't make any sense, right?
This room. Did
Yeah,
you
so like,
go?
yeah, I did go. Yeah, so I went the second quarter of the year, and then you find out why, right? Like it is a pretty moving. I'm a pretty big skeptical religious person in general. Spirituality and faith, I'm not skeptical at all, but like religion, formal religion and the order around it, I'm super skeptical of. I don't like it at all. I mean, I've kind of rebelled against that for my entire life. However, I did go to this thing, and you do come back feeling really connected to the people around you. You spend a whole lot of time getting to know people on a deeper level, and you spend a whole lot of time just understanding the people you're around and how amazing they are. At the end of the last day, they give you these little crosses to remind you to live the fourth, which is like the fourth day, that feeling you have on the last day of the retreat. And it's a good reminder because you walk out of there feeling like you're connected to everybody, and you really do love everybody that's around you. This teacher, one of his main duties is he runs this senior Christian awakening retreat, and he does it for all the year, and he gets really close to a lot of these people, right? He's somebody that we all look up to. This guy, you're in a really transformational moment and in a transformational setting. This guy is like the icon that you're supposed to look up to. This is the model. I'm not saying that he's like some god or something like that. It was just like he's in a very powerful position with a lot of vulnerable people that are opening up about a lot of things. And long story short, these are the messages that he's given us, is like, see Jesus in everybody and blah, 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 blah. And we go around and we have all these conversations. And I remember coming back from my session, and 3 weeks later, I find out that this dude's going to strip clubs with people, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And, nothing bad. I don't care, right? Like strip clubs, who cares? Like, I don't give a shit like that he was going to strip clubs. It was the hypocrisy of the message of how you say this to us and to our face, and then you go do something else, right? You don't really ever know what's going on with somebody until you see what they do and how they actually act in this world, right? So this is the whole point of all this. It's hard to even trust yourself sometimes because you can tell yourself with words, this is what matters. Hey, eat the frog is what matters to me. I mean, if you asked me before I met my daughter, I would have said, yeah, work hard, play harder, or do the things you hate the most first, or grit, or eat the frog, or whatever the bullshit that I would have said. And I would have genuinely meant it. But like my actions did not reflect that, right? Like it was easy to say, like, Chris, do you really do the things you hate the most first every single day? And I would go, no, no, I don't. I probably do the stuff that I absolutely love to do. I've always done the stuff that I absolutely love to do. And I will always do the stuff that I absolutely love to do every single day when I wake up. So my point being is like this whole book was an eye-opening experience of how much we are swayed by people's words, but how much words mean nothing, and really actions are the only things that ever matter. So for me personally, if you looked at my bank account and you looked at my schedule, right? Like all I do all day long up until just recently was in the morning, it was reading, it was exercise, it was writing time with my daughter. Then it was all day long doing one-on-ones to help coach and guide people about their lives, not even my work. I don't even give a shit about that stuff. And then after that, it was I'm gonna go play pickleball or tennis or something else. And after that, I'm gonna spend time with my family. And after that, I'm going to fucking bed because I'm cashed out and I don't have any more things left to do. And I don't have any more energy left. And you look at my bank account, what did I spend my money on? It's usually pickleball, tennis, workout gear, buying ball machines or some other bullshit or whatever. I mean, this is what I spend my money on. Books, like this is what I buy. These are my splurges, right? The point being is what you actually do every single day, and that's all that really matters. Like that is the only thing. It's so easy to even fool yourself. Like think about how easy it is to be fooled by somebody else, right? If you can't even know in your own fucking mind what you're saying is a load of crap to yourself, it's an impossibility to know what's going on in the other person's mind unless you just look to their actions. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, first of all, I think the reflection title is a great one. And I'd like to challenge you for a deeper layer because I think it's very true that when we talk to people, we have no idea who they are, right? That means that for most people, like a lot of people, I'm talking about 99.99% of the people, they have different persona in public and in private. So you will never ever be able to tell that person like who they are by talking to them. You won't know. So I really like that the fact that if you look at people's calendar and look at their bank account, you look at the action. The action gives more details. But some people don't even know themselves. Right? And so imagine me as your partner in crime in this company have met you 10 years ago and get to know about Chris. I would have known a completely different Chris.
Yeah, you would have.
As opposed to like the other people by sharing the details of, even then, the Chris that I know 10 years earlier would have been a completely different Chris, because that Chris has been like conditions to think in a different way, like eating the frog, the grits,
Yep.
doing the hard things first, and doing all these different whatever it is. But that really doesn't align to Chris. It only gives, because you look, if I were to look at your calendar back, like when you're 25, 30 years old, I look at your calendar, right? Yes, there's some tennis in there, but I'm sure
There
that
wasn't
it
much.
wasn't much, but you focus that time on, like, your time will
I
be
would go out with friends. I would
meeting
go out with friends all the time.
your girlfriend. You will go to party, you will
Travel.
go drink, go travel, do a bunch of stuff. So it's not really the Chris. It may, like, give a peek inside of who you really
But
are,
that really was
but
Chris.
it wasn't truly the Chris, right? So there's some Chris in there, but it's not a whole, maybe 50% of Chris in there, because you like to travel, like, but all that thing isn't really the Chris that I know today, right?
Yeah.
Because that Chris was still a stranger to himself.
Agreed.
If you don't know who you are, you can't really be able to share with other people, and for other people to understand you. Just like you go to this awakening retreat, right? You know this guy, but he doesn't know himself, so you know the wrong person, whatever that person is. Let's say you meet Jim, right? Well, Jim is whatever Jim pretends to be. It's not really Jim really is. So if I were to know Chris, well, it's what Chris pretends to be or thinks
True.
he wants to be.
I got a fun confession for you. You ever heard of the Promise to Keep program?
No.
Promise to Keep. It's called Promise to Keep,
Uh-huh.
i.e., promise to keep your virginity, abstinence,
Uh-huh.
abstinence, right? That's what it's about, right? So at a Catholic high school, we had this program called A Promise to Keep, where a lot of people participated in it, and you would go teach like fourth graders, fifth graders, or whatever about the idea of promise to keep. Well, I did promise to keep, and I was having sex with my girlfriend the entire time while I was doing it. It's like, as a 16-year-old, that's fucked up.
I mean, this is what I'm saying is, if I tell you, Chris, don't think about an elephant.
You think about an elephant, of course.
You are bringing it up to top of mind.
I was in a program called A Promise to Keep with literally little kids and telling them how important this is.
Well, it's about you, kids.
I mean, but like, can you imagine how fucked up that is to even say that out loud, to go, Chris, like, you didn't have to do that. Well, I know I didn't have to do that, but why did you do that? I don't know. I don't know why I did that. Probably because my friends were doing it, and like, and I was like, I guess I can go talk to little kids too. I mean, it seems like people value this in our school.
I mean, the more you're trying to constrain yourself, the more you're trying to break out. That's why for us, like, if you say, well, I don't want to do this, but you really want to do it, so there's no point in it. You just create misery for yourself.
I would rather be a liar and say I'm a liar and then lie to people and then go, well, I told you I was going to lie to you.
Lying. Well, I think the hypocrisy to me is the greatest sin ever.
It is.
Because to me, that is the most disgusting thing for anyone, right? Because, like I say, like, if I'm this asshole, then I'm the asshole. Right?
Just be an asshole.
It doesn't sting as much as I'm this asshole, but I'm pretending to be this nice guy and trying to convince everybody that I'm a nice guy and use that, right? To me, that is so, like, icky.
It's diabolical.
Almost unforgivable. That's why, for whatever reason, human beings detested hypocrisy so much, right? I mean, that's why we even as thieves, right? There's honor among thieves. Even among thieves, you don't steal from thieves, right? Because that's the only way to even have any kind of a social order, social organizations. Because
you have to trust people.
I'm a liar, but I have to be truthful to another liar. You think about it. But the hypocrisy, for whatever reason,
the foundation of trust. You have to have a foundation of trust to build any relationship. And we know how important social relationships are amongst humanity, because we need each other to help each other, right? So, like, if you can't trust the person you're around, then you have nothing.
There's no foundation anymore.
This is what I was talking about with the professor, the teacher at high school. Like, I don't trust you anymore. Like, you could sit here and tell me all you want to tell me all day long, to live this certain way of life, like blah, 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 to see Jesus and everybody. And then when I see what your actions are, They're not bad. Once again, I don't give a fuck if you're going to a strip club. Just say I'm going to a strip club. Like I would not, if you would have told me that, hey guys, like
this is just this. I mean, but
like, okay.
why pretend to be this, icon and idol, blah blah blah, and then go out and do the opposite? I mean, to me, this is like, I think it's so much misery for you not to be yourself. You think about it. But let's say for you, Chris, like you're a talkative person. Try not talking.
It's horrible.
It is hard.
I'm trying to
for me, like for me, it's like I don't like people, right? For me to go and talk to people, it's like I don't want to. It takes so much more energy. I don't know what. Yeah. It takes so much more energy for you to be someone else.
It does.
And so for this guy to go and to me, it's like, I mean, imagine Chris, you doing this thing with your girlfriend, and you go and you tell this, like, look into the fourth grader's face and say, the promise to keep. I mean, how do you feel?
I used to laugh at this, like, and now I don't. That's so fucking wrong. It's so fucking wrong. And not only that, like, I mean, this goes back to the stealing that I used to do, right? Like, it was harmless. I didn't care. Like, I was open and told people about it, but it's like, I'm not going to walk into a place and be like, hey, like, I did it to get away with it and to lie with you. I didn't need it. I didn't care. This is like, I've shared that story with you.
But it even take a toll on you. On the person doing it.
It's not like I would go to my mom and say, hey, Mom, I stole a bunch of groceries at Meijer today. If I told my mom that, I'd be disgusted with myself.
But the opposite is to go and be this role model person, and be the spokesperson for, being a good Samaritan, blah, blah. That is the utmost, like, yuckiest hypocrisy, right?
Dude,
that's what you're doing with this promise to keep. This is what he's doing with saying, hey,
yes.
Look all this thing and be be yourself and do all this great good deed, blah blah. And
like,
you go do the bad deed, right?
Yeah.
If you're a bad person, say, hey, I'm an asshole, okay? Yep. I am who I am, but I'm trying, but I'm not. Because the thing is, I think the hypocrisy is that anyone can overcome that, but they choose and they use their free will to do that. Because it doesn't matter who you are, right? It takes energy and willpower to do the opposite of who you are.
Yes, it's a double energy suck. Because if you're doing something that doesn't align to who you are, like i.e. stealing from me or something like that, that doesn't align who I am. Not only that, then I have to go tell other people. So it's a double whammy of, like, I know in my heart of hearts this isn't who I want to be. And then at the same time, the reason why I can't tell people that I do care about that this is what I did is because I know in my heart of hearts this isn't who I want to be, and I know in my heart of hearts that this isn't who they want me to be, right? It's like a double smack in the face. It's like gambling for me. Back when I used to gamble a lot or whatever, it was like, I know that this does not make me feel good, and I also know that if I had told my mom or my dad that I had $800 in my bank account, I just spent $700 of it at the casino, or I spent 1,000 of it, and then I called them and I was like, hey, I need a $300 loan or something like that, like, and they would be like, what'd you do? I'd be like, well, I just, didn't budget well this month or something like that. Like, but my point being is, like, it's like, it's a double whammy of A, I don't feel good. And then B, like, I have to then, like you said, go use more energy to hide. It's
exactly, because when you're doing something that's not in line with you, you already feel bad. You already feel bad because you shouldn't do it.
Right.
But you did it. You already feel bad. And then you have the gall to go and tell somebody.
Straight lie to their face.
That to me, I don't know about you, but that to me is the hardest thing I would ever have to do in your position. Because to me, I don't think I have enough willpower to do that.
As a sophomore in high school, I didn't care. I was a stranger to myself. Not a full stranger. I was like a partial stranger to myself, right? And I didn't spend the time to unpack that, right? Because if I just would have spent 10 minutes with myself of thinking or reflection or meditating or writing, I would have probably gone, okay, Chris, like, you don't need to do this. Like, you should just go resign from the Promise to Keep program and say, hey, sorry, I like fucking my girlfriend.
Yeah, I did not fully enjoy it. Some fucking piece of my brain said, I shouldn't do this. But the other one said, well, a majority rule, so, she didn't fully enjoy it.
I mean, it's just spending some time. Don't be a stranger to yourself. That is the key. I think, be honest with yourself And I think that's the key. You have to be honest with yourself first before you can be honest with anybody else. When you're honest with yourself, that generally leads to honest actions, that follow that. And then everybody else sees that.
Relation is because if I would have met you 10 years earlier, I would have learned about the wrong Chris. After a few months, I would say, hey, I won't talk to this Chris again. This guy is not compatible with me. So that chance of a meaningful relationship just becomes like, I don't like that. For you and me to go say, well, I've changed. Like, it takes much more like willpower for you to convince me that you have changed, right?
It's almost impossible.
So that relationship is never going to connect because
it's impossible.
The person that I thought I knew, right, is not aligning with who I am. So I have to go my separate ways.
And that creates infidelity, right? Like in a relationship is almost impossible to overcome. Like, I mean, because like once that precedent of action has been set, like you start to everything the person does, you question like, well, are they telling me the truth? Like, and when you fucking think about that every single time, like, I don't know, that's too much. Like, I can't worry about every single day of whether True is telling me the truth or not. If you're traveling or if we're doing whatever else, we still figure out a way to do this stuff, right? I love Blake to death, but when was the last time Blake joined us for one of these conversations?
The thing is, I can respect that. I don't have a problem. To me, like I say, if I'm an asshole, I become an asshole. I mean, I feel good about myself, and okay, how much can I, continue to walk along this journey with this guy? Because up front that I'm not lying to you. Right. That relationship can work because the thing is, okay, for this short of a journey, he can come along and I know who he is because for me, you know me, right? I don't really care about lying to people. I don't want to lie for one, and I don't want to feel bad. So I tell you whether or not it hurts people or not, right? To me, my opinion, that's your problem.
Right. Yep.
As long as I don't fabricate, right? If I'm telling the truth and I say, this is according to me, this is my opinion. This is why I say that a lot, because I'm saying it's up to you. I cannot control your happiness, but I'm telling you what I see. If I say it's wrong, that's fine. But tell me I'm wrong. But I'm telling you from my standpoint, this is what I see. But I'm not telling you it's universally, it's the truth, whatever. Right. But I'm telling you what I see, and that may hurt you. That's fine. But it's not my problem to not be hurt, because is it the truth or is it not? Because if I completely fabricate that, then yes, I'm harming people. And that goes back to my conscience and go back against my core values.
Great.
So the person that I am is who I am. So when I become that person and be with myself, I enjoy that existence. And you also can say, well, I can judge from my side whether I know myself, and I know this person as this kind of character. Does it compatible with me to even give him a second of my time? Because you shouldn't make it. If I'm this asshole that is lying to you every single day, you have wasted 3.5 years of your life.
Right.
That is a lot of. That's a huge amount of you could spend someone else.
Again,
so if one day that all of the thing that I said to you was a lie, you think about it. He have basically, completely stole all this time out of my life. You think about it, we talked about this yesterday. How many days do you have in your entire life? Probably 30 to 40,000 days. Okay, he have taken how many days out of your life? Yep. Right? If I've asked you or asked Steve Jobs, okay, how much would you pay for a extra day in your life? How much would you pay?
I mean, priceless.
Exactly. That's my point. That's why you should hate my gut. If one day you found out I have pretending to be this nice person all this time, and I'm going to strip clubs and doing all this stuff.
Once again, I can't state this enough. I don't give a shit what anybody does if they're honest with me, right? If you say, hey, I'm a recovering, coke addict, and like my friend Adam, right? Has been through a lot in his life. He will never not say what's going on or how he got to where he got to and what he's learned from it, right? This is damn near like basically Alcoholics Anonymous 101, I think, right? I've never been to an AA meeting, but I'm pretty sure their whole 12 steps process is like, you got to be honest with yourself, and you got to be honest with other people. Once you can be honest with yourself, then you can finally start to rebuild relationships around you, because you can't Like, remember that book that we read, the Fifth Vital, about that Mike Madglack, the guy that's like the social media influencer that was addicted to oxy, and his life or whatever. I mean, like, he detailed it so well in that book about how all you basically do is lie to people, when you're an addict. And it's got to be the most painful part of being an addict, is constantly letting people down. This is what you see time and time again from addicts. This is what I saw from one of my best friends. Like, he would say, I want to change. And then he wouldn't. And then the next day he would do exactly what you told him not to do, or what he told you he wouldn't do. And you're like, what do I do? Do I stick with you? Do I not? I can't invest my resources and time into somebody that's constantly going to let me down. Like, I mean, to your exact point earlier, you just can't invest into that. And this is going 360 around, all the way back to where we started. Like, if you can't do that to yourself, you are fucked. Like, I mean, if you lie to yourself all day long and yourself can't even trust yourself, then you are fucked.
This is where you have regrets when on your last day. You say,
Yes.
well, I regret
wasted.
not spending time doing that.
I can't even trust myself. Like, I mean, I can't. I mean, that's probably got to be one of the most horrible things that anybody could ever say in their entire life, is like, I don't trust myself. I didn't trust myself to not gamble. That's why I stopped, because I didn't trust myself to stay away from that. I didn't trust myself in a lot of other situations in my life, or something like that. I don't know. I talked about this in the last two reflections. There wasn't some black swan event that stopped me from gambling. I don't know what did, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was maybe it was a black swan event of online poker getting shut down. I didn't make that decision for myself. Something else made that decision for me. And thank God, right? Because I don't know where that would have led me, because I didn't trust myself when I gambled. I can be honest. I can be 100% honest with you. I do not trust myself gambling. It does not matter how much training or understanding of myself I have now today. I still don't trust myself gambling. If you can't trust yourself, then only bad shit's going to happen.
I mean, you don't trust yourself. How can you enjoy life?
Right.
And there's only one way to enjoy your life, is you gotta be who you are. There are one way to enjoy your life, and there are million of ways not to enjoy your life.
Yep.
Right. And so everything we talk about thus far, through 351 episodes so far, it's all about knowing yourself.
That's exactly what it is, because that is what the core values quest is. That's what Clubbing is. Yeah, you're right. That is what Clubbing is. It's about helping people to understand themselves, so then we can all go forward together to help each other, right? Think about the power in that from a community aspect, right? If you know that everybody around you knows who they are, or at least has a pretty good idea of it, or is willing to at least do the work to figure out how I can evolve and get to know myself better, like, I want to be around those people, because then I know I don't have to worry about the trust issues of other. I don't have to worry about True not showing up. I don't have to worry about True not saying and doing what True says he's going to do. I have a lot of other things to worry about in life, but I don't have to worry about that. And that's one less thing to worry about, right? I can just focus on my energy on shit that matters to me.
Unknown creates uncertainty, and that creates anxiety, and we don't want anxiety in our life.
No.
Right. And so we need to have at least some aspect of our life that it is under our control. Right. Because otherwise, your life is completely unbalanced and chaotic. You're going to have stress, you're going to have ulcers, you're going to have like tons of chemical releasing just to balance out your emotions. And that takes a toll on you.
Catastrophe. I mean, it'll eventually be a catastrophe. You'll end up like Bernie Madoff. Sylvia Plath stories from this book. Jerry Sandusky. My God. Talk about when shit spirals downhill. Yeah, The Devil in the White City, H.H. Holmes, or the serial killer in Chicago. It can spiral real bad, real fast.
Ways to be miserable.
Agreed. All right.
So we're good.
You feel good? All right. Question we can leave for everybody is, are your words and actions in alignment with who you say you want to be? Check in. That's probably the most important question you ever ask yourself. Check in every day.
So don't be a stranger to yourself.
Exactly. Tomorrow we have another Malcolm Gladwell book. I got so hooked on this one. I was like, oh man, I gotta keep going. And then I ended up reading all of Malcolm Gladwell's books.
Should be good.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, thanks for joining. Have a good night.
Good night.